The rain battered the glass walls of the Harper mansion, a storm raging as fiercely as Elena Harper's heart. She stood in the grand foyer, her designer heels clicking on marble, staring at the maid who had just dropped a tray of crystal glasses. The crash was nothing compared to the accusation Elena was about to hurl, one that would shatter lives like the shards at their feet. Thief! Elena's voice sliced through the air, her green eyes blazing. The word wasn't just an accusation. It was a guillotine, and Sofia Alvarez, the maid, stood beneath its blade. At 28, Elena was the untouchable daughter of billionaire Victor Harper, a woman whose world of privilege had never taught her to question her instincts. Sofia, 30, with her warm brown eyes and quiet grace, had been a fixture in the mansion for 2 years, her gentle presence a contrast to Elena's fiery temper. But that night, a missing diamond necklace worth more than Sofia's entire life had been found in her room. Elena didn't hesitate. She didn't need proof. She saw betrayal and she acted. The truth was murkier, buried under layers of jealousy, misunderstanding, and a secret neither woman dared name. Sofia's termination was swift. Victor, a man of cold pragmatism, didn't question his daughter's judgment. Sofia was escorted out into the storm, her belongings in a trash bag, her dignity in tatters. Elena watched from the window, her chest tight, telling herself justice had been served. But deep down a seed of doubt took root, one that would grow into a forest of regret over the next 3 years. The Harper mansion was a gilded cage, its opulence masking the emptiness within. Elena's life was a whirlwind of galas, private jets, and boardroom battles as she prepared to inherit her father's empire. Yet every night she replayed that rainy evening. Sofia's face, those wide, wounded eyes haunted her. The necklace, later found to have been misplaced by a guest, was a trivial footnote. The real loss was something Elena couldn't name, a connection she hadn't realized she craved until it was gone. Sofia, meanwhile, rebuilt her life in a small Brooklyn apartment, working double shifts at a diner. She was no stranger to hardship, having clawed her way out of poverty to support her younger sister Maria. But the sting of Elena's accusation lingered, a wound that refused to heal. Sofia had admired Elena, maybe more than admired. The way Elena's laughter lit up a room, the way her sharp mind challenged everyone around her, it had drawn Sofia in, despite the walls between them. But admiration turned to ash when Elena's words branded her a thief. Months passed and Elena's world began to crack. Her father's business faced a scandal: insider trading allegations that threatened to topple Harper Enterprises. Victor, ever the strategist, hired a private investigator to dig into the leaks. The findings pointed to an unlikely source, a former employee with a grudge. Elena's heart sank when she saw the name, Sofia Alvarez. She didn't believe it. Not fully. But the evidence was damning: encrypted emails, bank transfers, a trail leading back to Sofia's new life. Victor was livid, demanding legal action. Elena, however, felt something else: guilt. Had her accusation pushed Sofia to this? The thought gnawed at her, and she made a decision that would change everything. She would confront Sofia herself. Elena drove to Brooklyn under a sky heavy with clouds, her pulse racing. The diner was a far cry from the Harper mansion, its neon sign flickering in the dusk. Inside, Sofia was wiping down tables, her movements graceful even in exhaustion. Elena froze at the sight of her, the years melting away. Sofia looked up and their eyes locked. The air thickened with unspoken words. "Elena," Sofia said, her voice steady but laced with pain. "What do you want?" "I need to know the truth," Elena replied, her throat tight. "Are you trying to destroy my family?" Sofia's laugh was bitter. "Destroy you? You destroyed me 3 years ago." The words hit like a slap, but Elena pressed on. "There's evidence, Sofia. Emails. Money. It all points to you." Sofia's eyes darkened. "You think I'd stoop that low? After everything?" The confrontation spiraled, old wounds reopening. Elena accused, Sofia defended. But beneath the anger, something else simmered, something neither could ignore. Their voices softened, and for a moment the diner faded away. It was just them, two women caught in a storm of their own making. Elena left without answers, but she couldn't shake the feeling that she was wrong again. She hired her own investigator, determined to uncover the truth. What she found wasn't revenge, it was a setup. Someone within Harper Enterprises was framing Sofia, using her as a scapegoat to cover their own crimes. Elena's world tilted. She had been wrong before and now she was wrong again. But this time she wouldn't let Sophia go without a fight. The investigation led Elena to a disgruntled executive, Thomas Reed, who had orchestrated the leaks to undermine Victor. Sophia was innocent, a pawn in a larger game. Elena's guilt deepened, but so did her resolve. She tracked Sophia down again, this time at a community center where Sophia volunteered, teaching art to kids. The sight of Sophia laughing with a group of children, her face glowing with warmth, stopped Elena in her tracks. She realized then what she had been running from. Her feelings. "Sophia," Elena said, stepping forward, her voice trembling. "I was wrong. About everything." Sophia's expression hardened, but her eyes betrayed a flicker of hope. "Why should I trust you now?" "Because I'm not leaving until you do," Elena said, her voice breaking. "I hurt you and I'll spend the rest of my life making it right." The words hung between them, raw and unguarded. Sophia's walls began to crumble, and for the first time, they talked not as accuser and accused, but as two people who had lost something precious. The conversation stretched into the night, their voices weaving a fragile thread of connection. Elena confessed her fears, her loneliness, the way Sophia's presence had always felt like home. Sophia admitted she had felt the same, even when she tried to hate Elena. By dawn they were sitting on the community center's steps, shoulders brushing, the city waking around them. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but it was a start. Elena knew she had a long road ahead to earn Sophia's trust, and Sophia for the first time in years felt seen. The storm was far from over. Victor's empire was still under siege, and Thomas Reed's schemes were unraveling in ways that threatened both women. But as they faced the chaos together, Elena and Sophia discovered something stronger than revenge, a love worth fighting for. The Brooklyn Community Center buzzed with the laughter of children, their paint-streaked hands waving in the air as Sophia guided them through an art project. Elena stood in the doorway, her tailored coat out of place among the mismatched chairs and colorful murals. She hadn't slept since their last meeting, her mind replaying Sophia's words. "You destroyed me." Today she wasn't here to accuse or defend. She was here to listen. Sophia glanced up, her brush pausing mid-stroke. The kids didn't notice the tension, but Elena felt a current pulling them together and apart. "You're back," Sophia said, her tone guarded but softer than before. "I meant what I said," Elena replied, stepping closer. "I want to make this right." Sophia set the brush down, her eyes searching Elena's face. "You think words fix 3 years of pain? I lost everything, my job, my reputation, my trust in people." Elena swallowed hard. "I know I can't undo that. But I can help you now. Thomas Reed's the one behind the leaks. Not you." Sophia's breath caught. She'd heard whispers of the scandal rocking Harper Enterprises, but she never imagined she was tangled in it. "Why would he target me?" "Because you were an easy scapegoat," Elena said, her voice thick with guilt. "And I made you one." The admission hung heavy, but Sophia didn't flinch. She gestured for Elena to follow her to a quiet corner of the room, away from the kids' chatter. "If you're telling the truth," Sophia said, "what's your plan?" Elena hesitated. Her plan was half-formed, driven by instinct rather than strategy. "I'm going to confront Reed. Expose him. Clear your name." Sophia's laugh was sharp, but her eyes softened. "You? The billionaire's daughter, playing detective? You'll get yourself hurt." "Then help me," Elena said, her voice low, urgent. "You know what it's like to be underestimated. Let's do this together." For a moment Sophia said nothing. Then slowly she nodded. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was a truce, a fragile bridge between them. Over the next week, Elena and Sophia became unlikely allies. They met in secret, poring over documents Elena had smuggled from her father's office. Reed, a cunning executive with a vendetta against Victor, had covered his tracks well. But Sophia's sharp mind caught details Elena missed: discrepancies in timestamps, coded messages and emails. Their late-night meetings, often in Sophia's cramped apartment, were charged with tension. Every brush of their hands, every shared glance, carried a weight neither dared acknowledge. Elena began to see Sophia differently, not as the maid she'd once dismissed, but as a woman of fierce intelligence and unbreakable spirit. Sophia, in turn, saw cracks in Elena's polished exterior. The loneliness of a life spent chasing her father's approval, the fear of never being enough. They were opposites in every way: privilege versus struggle, fire versus calm, yet they fit together. Like pieces of a puzzle neither knew was incomplete. One night, as rain pattered against Sophia's window, Elena reached for a file and her fingers grazed Sophia's. The touch lingered, electric. Elena's breath hitched and she pulled back, her cheeks flushing. "Sorry," she muttered. Sophia's eyes held hers, steady and unreadable. "Don't be." The moment passed, but it left a mark. Elena left that night with her heart racing, unsure if she was falling into something dangerous or something beautiful. Their investigation hit a breakthrough when Sophia decoded a hidden message in one of Reed's emails. It pointed to a meeting at a Manhattan hotel, where Reed was set to hand off sensitive documents to a rival company. Elena insisted on going, despite Sophia's protests. "This is my mess," Elena said. "I need to fix it." "You're not invincible," Sophia shot back, her voice sharp with worry. "Reed's dangerous. You don't know what he's capable of." "And you do," Elena challenged, stepping closer. "You've been through worse than I can imagine, Sophia. But I'm not letting you face this alone." Sophia's jaw tightened, but she didn't argue. They devised a plan. Elena would attend the meeting undercover, posing as a potential buyer, while Sophia monitored from a distance, ready to call for help if things went south. The hotel's ballroom was a sea of suits and champagne flutes, the air thick with ambition. Elena, in a sleek black dress, blended in effortlessly, but her pulse pounded as she spotted Reed across the room. He was charming, polished, every bit the predator. She approached, her smile calculated, and engaged him in conversation. Reed was cautious but intrigued, unaware of the recorder hidden in Elena's clutch. Sophia watched from a corner, her heart in her throat. She hated this, hated the risk, hated how much she cared about Elena's safety. When Reed leaned in too close, whispering something that made Elena tense, Sophia's fists clenched. She wanted to storm over to pull Elena away, but she stayed put, trusting the plan. The exchange went smoothly, too smoothly. Reed handed over a flash drive, and Elena slipped it into her purse. But as she turned to leave, Reed's hand grazed her arm, his smile cold. "You're not as clever as you think, Miss Harper," he said softly. Elena froze, her cover blown. Before she could react, security appeared, escorting her out. Sophia followed at a distance, her mind racing. Reed knew. The game had just gotten deadlier. Back at Sophia's apartment, the mood was grim. Elena paced, her hands shaking as she recounted Reed's words. "He knows who I am. He's been playing us." Sophia sat on the couch, her face pale. "We need to go to the police. This is bigger than us." "No," Elena said, her voice firm. "If we go public now, Reed will destroy the evidence. We need to get that flash drive to my father's lawyers first." Sophia stood, closing the distance between them. "And what if you get hurt? Or worse?" "Elena, this isn't worth your life." Elena met her gaze, her green eyes fierce. "You're worth it. Clearing your name is worth it." The words hung between them, raw and unguarded. Sophia's breath caught, and for a moment the world narrowed to just them. Then impulsively, Elena reached out, cupping Sophia's face. Their lips met in a kiss that was equal parts desperation and relief, a collision of everything they'd been holding back. When they pulled apart, Sophia's eyes were wet. "You're impossible," she whispered. "And you're everything," Elena replied. They didn't have time to process it. A knock at the door startled them, and Sophia's phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "You're next." The knock echoed through Sophia's tiny apartment like a gunshot. Elena's hand lingered on Sophia's cheek, their kiss still burning between them, but the message on Sophia's phone next snapped them back to reality. Fear flickered in Sophia's eyes, but she straightened, her resolve hardening. "Stay here," she whispered, moving toward the door. Elena grabbed her arm. "No. We face this together." Sophia hesitated, then nodded. They opened the door to find a courier, oblivious to the tension, holding a package. "Sofia Alvarez?" he asked. She took the box, her hands trembling, and shut the door. Inside was a single photograph. Elena at the hotel, talking to Reed. Scrawled on the back in red ink, "Stop now or she pays." Elena's face paled. He's watching us. Sophia's jaw clenched. This ends now. We're not running. Their plan shifted. The flash drive Elena had secured from Reed was their only leverage, but it was encrypted. They needed help, someone outside Reed's reach. Sophia suggested her sister Maria, a tech prodigy who'd been accepted into MIT on a scholarship. Maria, now 22, had a knack for cracking code and a fierce loyalty to her sister. Despite Elena's hesitation, she didn't want to drag anyone else into danger. Sophia insisted. Maria's tougher than she looks. And she's family. They met Maria at a crowded coffee shop in Queens, the hum of conversation masking their words. Maria, with her bright eyes and quick smile, hugged Sophia tightly before eyeing Elena with suspicion. "So you're the one who got my sister fired," she said, her tone sharp. Elena winced. "I was wrong. I'm trying to make it right." Maria studied her, then nodded. "Fine. Show me the drive." As Maria worked her magic on a battered laptop, Elena and Sophia sat close, their knees brushing under the table. Every touch felt like a lifeline, grounding them in the chaos. Maria's fingers flew across the keys, her brow furrowed. "This encryption's military grade," she muttered. "But I've seen worse." Hours later, Maria cracked it. The drive contained emails, financial records, and a detailed plan to sabotage Harper Enterprises. Reed wasn't just leaking secrets, she was selling them to a foreign competitor, pocketing millions while framing Sophia as the culprit. The evidence was damning but dangerous. If Reed knew they had it, he'd come for them. Elena's phone buzzed. A text from her father. "Come home. Now." Victor's tone was unmistakable. He knew something. Elena's stomach twisted. Had Reed gotten to him first? "We need to move," Sophia said, reading her expression. "If your father's involved, we're running out of time." The drive back to the Harper mansion was tense, the city lights blurring past. Sophia clutched the flash drive, her knuckles white. Elena drove, her mind racing. She hadn't told her father about Sophia or the investigation, fearing his disapproval. Victor Harper was a man who valued control above all else, and Elena's growing feelings for Sophia were anything but controlled. They arrived to find the mansion dark, the staff dismissed for the night. Victor waited in his study, his face a mask of fury. "Elena, what the hell are you doing?" he demanded, his eyes flicking to Sophia. "And why is she here?" Elena stepped forward, her voice steady. "Sophia's innocent, Dad. Reed's the one betraying you. We have proof." Victor's gaze narrowed. "Proof? You're sneaking around with a disgraced maid, and you expect me to believe this?" Sophia bristled but stayed silent, letting Elena take the lead. Elena handed him the flash drive, explaining everything: the hotel, the setup, Maria's decryption. Victor listened, his expression unreadable. When she finished, he leaned back in his chair, exhaling heavily. "If this is true," he said, "Reed's finished. But you've put yourself in danger, Elena. Both of you." Before Elena could respond, the lights flickered. A crash echoed from downstairs, followed by footsteps, heavy, deliberate. Sophia grabbed Elena's arm, her voice low. "He's here." Victor pulled a gun from his desk drawer, his face grim. "Stay behind me." They moved toward the sound, hearts pounding. In the foyer, Thomas Reed stood, flanked by two men in dark suits. His smile was cold, predatory. "You Harpers are predictable," he said. "Always thinking you're one step ahead." Elena's blood ran cold, but Sophia stepped forward, her voice steady. "It's over, Reed. We have everything: your emails, your deals. You're done." Reed's eyes glinted. "You think a flash drive stops me? You're nothing, Alvarez. And you," he turned to Elena. "You're a liability." Before anyone could react, one of Reed's men lunged. Victor fired, the shot deafening in the cavernous foyer. Chaos erupted: shouts, shattering glass. Elena tackled Sophia to the ground, shielding her as bullets flew. When the dust settled, Reed was gone, his men subdued by Victor's security team, who had arrived just in time. Victor, bleeding from a graze on his arm, turned to Elena. "Get her out of here," he said, nodding toward Sophia. "Now." They fled to a safe house in upstate New York, a cabin tucked in the woods. The drive was silent, the weight of the night pressing down on them. Inside the cabin, Elena collapsed onto a couch, her hands shaking. Sophia knelt beside her, her touch gentle but firm. You could have died, Sophia said, her voice breaking. Why did you do that? Why risk everything for me? Elena met her gaze, tears welling. Because I love you. The words hung in the air, raw and true. Sophia's breath hitched and she leaned in, kissing Elena softly, then fiercely. It was a promise, a confession, a release of 3 years of pain and longing. They held each other as the fire crackled, the world outside fading away. But the danger wasn't over. Reed was still out there, and the evidence they held was a ticking time bomb. As dawn broke, Elena's phone lit up with a message from Maria. He's coming for you. Be ready. The cabin's wooden walls creaked under the weight of the wind, a restless howl that mirrored the storm in Elena's chest. She and Sophia sat by the fire, their hands entwined, the warmth of their confession still lingering. But Maria's warnings coming for you cast a shadow over their fragile peace. Thomas Reed wasn't just a threat. He was a predator and they were his prey. Sophia stood, pacing. We can't stay here forever. Reed's not the type to give up. Elena nodded, her mind racing. We need to get the evidence to the authorities, but we have to be smart. He's got connections, cops, lawyers, maybe even judges. Sophia stopped, her eyes fierce. Then we go public. Leak the files ourselves. If the world knows, he can't hide. The idea was bold, reckless even, but Elena saw the fire in Sophia's eyes and knew it was their best shot. They called Maria, who was already working on a secure upload to a whistleblower platform. I'll make it untraceable, Maria promised over the phone. But you two need to stay safe. Reed's not working alone. As they planned, Elena couldn't shake the memory of Sophia's kiss, the way it had anchored her in the chaos. She reached for Sophia's hand, squeezing it. Whatever happens, I'm not losing you again. Sophia's smile was soft, bittersweet. You never really lost me, Elena. I just needed time. The next morning, they drove to a small library in a nearby town, using its public Wi-Fi to send the files to Maria. The library was quiet, the air thick with the scent of old books. Sophia sat at a computer, her fingers steady as she uploaded backups of the flash drive's contents. Elena kept watch, her nerves on edge. Every creak of the floorboards made her jump. They were almost done when a black SUV pulled up outside. Elena's heart sank. Sophia, we need to go. Now. They slipped out the back, ducking into an alley as footsteps echoed behind them. Sophia grabbed Elena's hand, pulling her toward a parked delivery van. They hid behind it, their breaths shallow. A man in a dark coat appeared, scanning the alley. Elena recognized him, one of Reed's men from the mansion. Sophia's eyes darted to a fire escape nearby. Up there, she whispered. They climbed, the metal rungs cold against their hands. From the rooftop, they watched the man search below, his frustration evident. But the relief was short-lived. Sophia's phone buzzed with a new message. You can't run forever. Elena's blood ran cold. How does he keep finding us? Sophia's face hardened. Someone's feeding him information. Someone close. The realization hit like a punch. Victor. Elena's father had the resources, the access. But why would he betray her? Doubt gnawed at her, but she pushed it aside. They needed to move. They caught a bus to Albany, blending in with the crowd. Maria met them at a safe house, a nondescript apartment with barred windows. She hugged Sophia tightly, then handed them a burner phone. The files are live, Maria said. Major news outlets are picking it up. Reed's name is everywhere. Elena exhaled, relief mingling with dread. What now? Now we wait, Maria said. The feds will move on Reed, but you need to stay low until they do. Waiting was torture. Elena and Sophia spent the day in the apartment, the tension between them shifting from fear to something softer. They really talked for the first time in years. Sophia shared stories of her childhood, growing up in a cramped apartment with Maria, their parents working endless hours. Elena opened up about the pressure of being Victor Harper's daughter, the constant need to prove herself. As night fell, they sat on the apartment's worn couch, a single lamp casting shadows. Sophia traced circles on Elena's palm, her touch grounding. I never thought I'd be here, Sophia said softly. With you. Elena leaned in, their foreheads touching. I don't deserve you, but I'm going to try. Their lips met again, slower this time, a promise woven into every breath. The world outside was chaos, but here in this moment they were whole. The news broke the next morning. Headlines screamed about Reed's betrayal, his ties to foreign competitors, and the evidence leaked by an anonymous source. The feds raided his office, and he was arrested by noon. Elena and Sophia watched the coverage on a grainy TV, relief washing over them. But the victory felt hollow. Victor hadn't called, hadn't reached out. Elena's doubts about her father grew. They returned to the Harper mansion under police escort, the evidence now in the hands of prosecutors. Victor greeted them in the foyer, his face unreadable. "You did well," he said, his voice clipped. "But you should have come to me first." Elena's chest tightened. "Would you have believed me? Or would you have protected Reed?" Victor's silence was answer enough. Sophia stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "She risked everything for the truth, Mr. Harper. You should be proud." Victor's eyes softened just for a moment. "I am," he said. "But this family doesn't operate on trust alone." The words stung, but Elena stood taller. She wasn't the same woman who'd accused Sophia 3 years ago. She was stronger now, surer. And she had Sophia. As they left the mansion, Sophia took Elena's hand. "What now?" she asked. Elena smiled, the first real smile in days. "We start over. Together." But as they walked away, a shadow lingered. Reed's arrest hadn't answered all their questions. Someone had tipped him off, someone close to the Harpers. And Elena couldn't shake the feeling that the real battle was just beginning. The Manhattan skyline glittered through the safe house window, a reminder of the world Elena and Sophia had fought to reclaim. They stood side by side, their hands clasped, the weight of Reed's arrest lifting but not gone. The news played on a loop. Harper Enterprises saved by whistleblower. Yet Elena's heart was heavy. Her father's silence, his cryptic words, hinted at a truth she wasn't ready to face. Sophia squeezed her hand. "You're thinking about him, aren't you?" Elena nodded, her throat tight. "I need to know if he was involved. If he knew about Reed all along." Sophia's eyes softened. "Whatever you find, I'm here." They returned to the Harper mansion one last time, armed with questions and a fragile hope. Victor was in his study, papers strewn across his desk. He looked older, the lines on his face deeper. "Elena," he said, his voice weary. "You've caused quite a stir." "Was it you?" Elena asked, her voice steady despite the tremor in her chest. "Did you tip off Reed?" Victor's eyes widened, then narrowed. "You think I'd betray my own company? My own daughter?" "You didn't trust me," Elena said. "You didn't trust Sophia. And someone was feeding Reed information." Victor stood, his hands gripping the desk. "I made mistakes, Elena. But I didn't help Reed. He had spies, people I trusted. I'm cleaning house now." Elena searched his face, wanting to believe him. Sophia stepped forward, her presence grounding. "If you're telling the truth, Mr. Harper, help us find who did." Victor hesitated, then nodded. He handed over a list of names: executives, assistants, anyone with access to sensitive data. One name stood out: Clara, Victor's longtime secretary. She'd been with the family for decades, loyal to a fault. Or so they thought. Elena and Sophia tracked Clara to a penthouse in Soho, paid for with money that didn't add up. They confronted her in a sleek, sterile living room, the city sprawling below. Clara, a woman in her 50s with sharp eyes and a tighter smile, didn't flinch. "You're out of your depth," Clara said, her voice cold. "Reed was a means to an end. Victor's empire is rotting and I was just pruning." Elena's fists clenched. "You framed Sophia. You hurt my family." Clara's laugh was sharp. "Your family? You're nothing but a spoiled princess playing hero. And her." She glanced at Sophia. "A nobody." Sophia's voice was calm, cutting. "A nobody who brought you down. They'd recorded everything." Clara's confession, paired with the leaked files, was enough to seal her fate. The police arrived within the hour, and Clara was led away in handcuffs. Elena and Sophia stood on the penthouse balcony, the city's pulse thrumming below. "It's over," Sophia said, her voice soft. Elena shook her head. "Not yet. I owe you more than this." The next month was a whirlwind. Harper Enterprises stabilized, Victor stepping back to let Elena take the lead. She used her influence to clear Sophia's name publicly, ensuring her story was told. Sophia, in turn, started a foundation for wrongly accused workers, using funds Elena quietly donated. They worked side by side, their partnership growing stronger with every challenge. One evening they walked through Central Park, the air crisp with autumn. The leaves glowed gold under the streetlights, and Sophia's hand felt warm in Elena's. They stopped by a quiet fountain, the water catching the light. "I was wrong about you," Elena said, her voice thick with emotion. 3 years ago I saw a thief. Now I see the woman I love." Sophia's eyes shimmered. "I saw a spoiled rich girl. Now I see someone who fights for what's right, no matter the cost." They kissed, the world fading to just them, the billionaire's daughter, and the woman who changed her heart. The pain of the past wasn't gone, but it had forged something stronger. A love built on trust, redemption, and the courage to start again. Years later, Elena and Sophia stood at the ribbon cutting for the foundation's new community center. Maria was there, beaming, now a tech entrepreneur in her own right. Victor watched from the crowd, a rare smile on his face. The scars of their journey remained, but they were proof of survival. Elena took Sophia's hand, her voice steady as she spoke to the crowd. "This is for everyone who's been underestimated, accused, or silenced. We see you. We fight for you." Sophia leaned in, whispering, "And I'll always fight for you." The crowd cheered, but Elena and Sophia only saw each other. They'd faced betrayal, danger, and doubt, but they'd come out stronger together. Their love wasn't just a victory over the past. It was a promise for the future, one they'd write side by side. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe to get notifications about next videos.